Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good evening, everyone. I hope we are all in the good health. Okay, we will continue our discussion about learning evaluation. In the last session, we had discussed about the assessment for the cognitive domain. We discussed about the Bloom's taxonomy and how to develop the instrument to measure, to assess the cognitive domain. And we also discussed about how to analyze every item of the test. And now we will continue to the affective assessment. I share my slide of presentation. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. So today we will discuss about the Krathwohl's level on affective assessment. Last session we discussed about the Bloom's taxonomy, and now we will discuss about the Krathwohl's level on affective assessment. Before we know what is the level of Krathwohl's taxonomy, we discuss about the learning domains. In the learning process, there are some of learning domains. There are affective, perceptual, cognitive, psychomotor, and interpersonal. For the last discussion, we discussed about the cognitive domain, that is the intellectual skills and abilities. There are about the factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive. The other domains are perceptual, psychomotor, interpersonal, and affective. The perceptual domain is acuity of perception within a field of study enabling diagnosis and prediction of expertise. And the psychomotor is conscious coordinate movement of the body and its parts. And the interpersonal domain is skills of behavior and attitudinal disposition toward and with other people. And the last domain is affective domain. The affective domain is increasing internalization of positive attitudes toward the object of study. In the last session on this course, we discuss about the cognitive domain and the Bloom's taxonomy revised by Anderson and Krathwohl. And today we will discuss about the affective domain that developed by the Krathwohl's taxonomy. How about the other learning domains? The other learning domains, there are skills. If we know about the national curriculum in Indonesia, there are 4 domains. The first is about the religious attitude. The second about the social attitude. The third about the knowledge or cognitive. And the fourth about the skills. The skills, there are psychomotor, perceptual, and interpersonal. Okay, now we have this picture. Maybe you can see, read, and give your explanation about your understanding for this picture. What is the picture tells about? what is the picture tells about? One of you maybe can explain.
Yes, ma'am. Could I try to answer their questions?
Okay, Yusril,
All right. Okay.
can you
I
tell understanding? Yes.
yes. In my opinion, for effective domain, um, it uses feelings to like to find the values, motivation, attitude, and also stereotypes. So it reverts to feelings. So effective domain is depend on feelings, but for cognitive domain, it depends on thinking, I think, because visual sensitivities, recollection, comprehension, and evaluation and analysis. So I think like that.
Okay, thank you about your opinion, Yusril. Maybe another person in this class can give another explanation.
Can I give my opinion, ma'am?
Okay,
Yes, in
Agnieszka.
very yeah, yeah, if we know in very simple things, affective domain and cognitive domain is if this affective domain is we use we are hurt, and if we use cognitive, it's about our brain. So like value, motivation, attitude, stereotypes, and feeling is we can't just use our brains, our thinking, but we use our feeling too. We are hurt. So if cognitive domains is this analysis, recognition, comprehensive evaluation, and analysis, we just use out what I'm thinking, what we are thinking, not use what we are hurt. So affective is about hurt and cognitive about brain. Just like that one. In simple mean.
Okay, thank you for the explanation about your opinion, Yusril and Kanyestia. Maybe any another opinion that difference with Yusril
Okay,
and
yes, ma'am.
Kanyestia, maybe.
I am trying. I want to try to explain my opinion. Uh, Hello. Test test.
I can hear your voice.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Maybe
just keep going.
this. Okay. Okay. My opinion about affective domain, it's like what you feel, and cognitive domain, like what you think about something. So effective domain, what you feel, it's like a values, motivation, attitude, and others that's in the picture. And cognitive domains, and what you think is same what you like, the synthesis, recollection, and the other. Just it for me.
Okay, thank you, Arif. Like same with the opinion before. Okay, so how about the cognitive versus affective? Yeah, you tell us about the cognitive domain and affective domain, that the cognitive domain is about thinking and the affective domain is about feeling. Okay, the cognitive domain emphasizes intellectual learning and problem solving activities and is much concerned with knowledge comprehension and analysis. So yes, I agree with your opinion that the cognitive domain is about what is the thinking process, yeah, and the knowledge dimension. In the last session, we discussed about it. And the affective domain involves behavior and educational objectives that have some emotional overtone that deals with attitudes, values, interests, beliefs, and appreciation. So this is about the emotional overtone, not only about knowledge, but also about the attitude, values, interest, belief, and appreciation. In the from the other resource, the affective domain is the learning about one's emotion, understanding another person's feelings, uh, acquiring a concept of self, and developing self-efficacy are hallmark of the affective domain. So not only about heart, not only about the person feelings, but also about the concept of self, the concept of self-efficacy, about maybe self-awareness, social awareness. There are some basic sets of skill constitute emotional intelligence, such as self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. So we not only measure about the student feelings, but also about how it can make a decision, how it can make the management of the team, maybe, or maybe he or she or they can relate one skill with the another skill. That is the affective domain. Affective domain and affective behavior is non-observable. Affective domain is about the student behaviors that address attitude, emotions, values, interests, feeling, and the other behavior. Can you measure about the emotion of the student? How you can measure? How about the emotion, the value of the student? How you can measure about the feeling of the student? If the last discussion about the cognitive domain, the knowledge or the thinking process can be measured with the test. How about this domain? How about this affective domain? Maybe you have an experience in your senior high school, how your teacher measure or assess your affective domain. Maybe one of you can tell us about your experience, maybe. No one? Have you ever given the test about the affective domain from your teacher? Or never?
Maybe just a little explanation, ma'am. Not a
Okay,
full concept.
Aditya.
Yeah, I think
Have you an experience?
my experience when I'm on school is like when a teacher says is effective is not uh apa ya it's not a basic thing that just can we forget because in school we are using more or cognitive domain than affective domain. But my teacher says we can see student for give measure their their skill or maybe their
Okay, I see. So, your teacher only measure your cognitive domain. You
yeah, but it's kind of like he say if we cannot measure their student with cognitive domain, they use affective domain.
okay? So, how your teacher measure your affective domain? Is it through the test or through the observation or through the questionnaire maybe?
Through mostly through observation because their
Okay.
behavior. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Adit, for your sharing about your experience. Okay, because the affective domain is uh, the characteristic are construct. They are unobservable internal characteristics that can only be inferred from action in situation or responses to carefully designed question. So we cannot measure the affective domain with the test. We cannot measure the affective behavior of student with the test. So the most of the technique of the assessment for the affective domain is through observation of the teacher. Some of them through the questionnaire or both of them. In this situation, in the pandemic era, the learning process through online learning. How the teacher can measure or assess the affective domain of the student if most of teacher use the observation technique. Maybe you can give the solution maybe.
For
Okay, Adit?
for affective, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
To measure maybe from students' attitude for me to measure affective domain.
The student attitude measure through what technique? Observation too? Only observation or uh, with the questionnaire too? Or one of them or both of them?
Maybe observation because if we use questionnaire, it's like cognitive, not affective.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you, Adit. Okay,
Hmm.
the simple technique to measure the affective domain is observation. But the observation is only the point of view from the teacher. We don't know how about the behavior, the true behavior from the student. So maybe we can use both of the observation and the questionnaire to measure or to assess the effective domain of student in the learning process. Because from the two sources we can uh, assess the effective behavior uh, more with the more data, so we can know how about the attitude, the emotion, value, interest, or feeling from the student, not only the point of view from the teacher, but also we can know how about the feeling of the student with the questionnaire. Maybe that is the solution for this condition in online learning in the pandemic era. The questionnaire, maybe we can use some statement about the objective of affective domain or affective behavior that we assess, and we can use the Google form and we give the link to the student. The student can make the assessment for her or himself, or we call it self-assessment. So we can know how the affective behavior from the student. Okay, that is about the affective domain and affective behavior. The affective behavior is about the process, so we cannot measure the affective behavior only once. We measure or we assess the affective domain with the process of the learning process, from the from the initial learning on until the last process. This is some definition about the affective assessment. Affective assessment define this involves the measurement of the personal aspects that impact learning, such as student perceptions, viewpoints, feelings, attitudes, and etc., and are connected to the affective side of learning. However, it is important to recognize that these areas are also influenced by thinking factors along with the emotional connection that go with them. So, we cannot separate the cognitive domain only or affective domain only, because they are influenced by thinking factors of the student along with the emotional connection that go with them. If the student have a motivation to study, maybe, or they have the influence of thinking process, maybe he or she or they have a positive attitude to this subject matter, maybe in physics, maybe. So effective assessment is one of the domain in the learning process that we need to assess, we need to measure, because if we give an attention to the assessment, to the affective or the attitude of the student maybe can study harder maybe, or we have a bigger motivation to study maybe, or the other impact if we have the attention to the affective domain of the student. The bottom line is both emotional and cognitive issues are involved and typically measured with affective assessment measures. So there are the correlation, yeah, about the emotional and cognitive issues. So we cannot only assess the cognitive domain, but also we must measure or assess the affective domain too. The affective assessment used to determine the attitude toward physical education, for example, about the enjoyment, how the student enjoy their study, about physics maybe, how the student make every assignment as a challenge for them, how the self-expression of the student if we study about physics maybe, we can determine it. We can determine if we assess the affective domain of the student. Affective assessment is used to determine the responsible personal and social behavior on physical activity setting. Maybe about teamwork, about the collaboration, maybe about the social behavior when the student discuss about some topic, maybe we can assess it. It also determines the understanding and respect for differences among people in physical activity setting. Affective assessment effectiveness of technique hangs on trust between teacher and student. So I think the affective assessment is also need to assess the learning process, not only the cognitive domain. Why? Because an effective assessment can enhance the existing behavior management program. Also, an effective assessment can be a powerful tool for opening and enhancing the channel of communication between the teacher and the class, the teacher and the specific student, or between group of students. Like our communication before in this course, in this class, if you haven't the positive attitude in subject matter, maybe you don't hear my explanation, maybe you cannot respond my question maybe, or maybe you lost my class maybe. But because you have a positive attitude with my class, with our subject matter of learning evaluation, you you hear hear my explanation, you respond my question, you give your opinion, you share your experience. That is the attitude, that is the affective behavior. So we can make the communication in this class. An effective assessment can help students learn to appropriately interact with each other. Okay, to assess an effective domain, we use the Krathwohl taxonomy. In the last discussion about cognitive domain, we use the Bloom's taxonomy. In this domain, in this affective domain, we use the Krathwohl's taxonomy. This is the picture about the affective domain. Can you give your understanding about your explanation about your understanding from this picture? What is the picture tells about? This is the educational objective level. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 aspects, and in the side of the educational, objective level is the state of mind. Please read and understand this picture, and then you can explain to me, to us, about your understanding about this picture. Okay, who is the volunteer?
Maybe I want explain, ma'am.
Okay, Handoko, please
Oh,
tell your opinion.
okay. About educational objective level, the first level is receiving that we can see the example like hearing, looking for the presentation or class. We receive the information from the lecturer. The next is level is responding. It's like answer a question, give opinion, and another. And the next is valuing. It's about we have uh, we have the we can we have get the purpose of the lecturer presentation or class. So we have we we has yes about following is about have we get the material from the lecturer and we can accept it. And the next level is organization. It's about we use the no no, we use the material in another problem. For example, like in lecturer presentation, we use in problem A, and in organization we use in problem B. And the next is characterization, is we we do in our life about this material from the lecturer. That's ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Handoko. Very complete explanation. Maybe another person have the different explanation with Handoko.
I will give my opinions.
Okay, Audina, please tell your opinion.
Yes, in the first receiving, I think receiving is about awareness, willingness to hear, selective attention. For the example or keywords is listen to others with respect, listen for something and remember the name of newly introduced people maybe. And the second is responding. It means active participation on the part of the learning. The example is participates in class discussion or gives a presentation, question new idea or concept models in order to fully understand about the material. And the third is valuing. It means the word or value a person attached to a particular object or phenomena. And the example for me is demonstrate belief in the democratic process or propose a plan to social improvement and follow through with commitment or informs management on matters. Keywords like appreciates, treasure, demonstrate, invites maybe or joins, and etc. And the fourth is organization. I think organize value into priority by contrasting different value, like recognize the need for balance between freedom and responsible behaviors. And the keywords is compares, relates, synthesis, and and the last is characterization. Has a value system that controls their behavior. Keywords like X, discriminates, display, what is it? Influence, and modify, perform, or qualify, and etc. This enough for me, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Audina. More complex than before. Thank you. Okay, so how do you think about the level of the educational objective for five aspect? For the five aspect that there are receiving, responding, valuing, organization, and characterization. How about the level? Where is the lower? Where is the higher of the level from for the affective domain? For the Krathwohl's affective domain?
Okay, ma'am, I will let me to answer this.
Okay, can you
I
share?
think the lowest level is receiving, mom, because
Okay.
if if we want to learn responding, value, organize, and characterization, we must. The first one is we pay attention about the others, about things, about the everything. So we must pay attention about that. So the lowest is receiving, and the highest is in here, and the second one is responding, and valuing, organization, and the last one is characterization. We must have character in there. From receiving and responding and valuing and organize. And the last one is characterization. It's like the very complex thing. Characters is a very complex thing. We know everyone is have their characters, their what he is, what she is. So every human is unique. So every human unique because they have their characters, their own characters. So and the top level is I think in here is characterization, ma'am. And the lowest is receiving, like the stairs in there.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Kenyestia. So the lowest level is the receiving and the highest level is the characterization. In the other infographics, uh, like this picture, the lowest aspect or the lowest aspect in the Krathwohl taxonomy is receiving, and the highest level is characterizing. Okay, thank you about your explanation. And from the Audina explanation, we can see this picture, this infographics about the aspect of the Krathwohl's taxonomy and what is the behavior about the receiving, maybe like choose, responding maybe like confirm or read or react. This is the behavior for the responding. The behavior for valuing, maybe we the student have the initiate or make a reports to the group or to the teacher. And for the organizing level, the behavior are like orders or synthesizes, and the characterizing by a value, the behavior are like influences or questions. Audina give more the explanation about the behavior and the example about each of the aspect of the Krathwohl's taxonomy about the affective domain. Okay, this is the definition about the Krathwohl's level of the affective domain. Handoko and Audina have been give an explanation, their explanation, and this is the explanation about the definition of each level of the Krathwohl's taxonomy. For the first level is receiving. The receiving defined by a being aware of or attending to something in the environment, about pay attention, about the willingness, that is the receiving behavior. For the second level is responding. The definition is showing some new behaviors as a result of experiences. Maybe for the first experiences of receiving is pay attention about the explanation or about the question, and the response is react the questions with the answer, maybe with the explanation, with the sharing, maybe. That is the second level of the affective domain, the responding. And the third level is valuing. The definition is showing some definite involvement or commitment, showing some definite involvement or commitment. So the behavior is about the commitment, how the student have a commitment, so he or she or they can make an initiate or make a report. For the fourth level is about organizing. Organizing defined by integrating a new value into one's general set of values, giving it some ranking among one's general priorities. This is about organizing. And the last level, the highest level of the affective domain is characterizing, defined by enacting consistently with the new value. So the student before learning process and after learning process have new value. The characterization of the student processed by the learning process, not only the initial characterization of the student, but also new value that they given from the learning process. It is about the characterization. There are some examples. Handoko and Audina have been give some examples, and this is more the example about each of the aspect of level in the affective taxonomy. For the receiving, the example is the passive attention of students which result in memorizing and recall. So if the teacher give an explanation, give knowledge, if the student only passive attention, only hear, pay attention, and memorize it and recall the knowledge from the teacher, the level of the affective domain of the student only in the first level in receiving. But if the student react of the information by make a question maybe or discuss about the new topic with with the information from the teacher or from the discussion in the class, the level of the affective domain for that student is responding, because he or she or they have an active attention by student which further reinforce learning. So with this attitude, with this affective level, the student can impact about their understanding, because if the level only in receiving, maybe their cognitive process only in the level of remember, cognitive level, the first cognitive level. But if the student have an active attention, the student can reinforce their knowledge, can reinforce the learning, can reinforce their understanding. So the cognitive level of the student increase to the higher level, not only in remember, maybe on the second level that are understanding or C2. And then the third level is about valuing. The student attach value to the knowledge gained, be it a piece of information or a phenomenon. If the attitude or the affective behavior of the student reach the third level, that is the valuing, he can apply their knowledge, he can apply the information to the new situation or the new phenomena. So that is about the bottom of line that we discussed before. There are two domains about affective domain and cognitive domain. We cannot defeat them one by one because the affective domain influence the cognitive domain. The affective behavior influence the cognitive behavior, the cognitive process influenced by the affective behavior. In the next level is about organizing. The student gains the ability to put forth information in a meaningful manner by organizing, comparing, and relating. This is the behavior of the student. If the student reads this behavior of an attitude, reach the affective level of organizing, they can improve their cognitive process, they can improve their experience of thinking about how to compare, how to organize, how to evaluate. So if the student can have the level of affective in the fourth level, they can improve their knowledge or their thinking process into the higher level too. That is until the analyze or the evaluate process. Evaluate thinking process. In the Bloom taxonomy, we call it C4 and C5. And for the last is characterizing. The student develops a belief or attach a value to something which impacts his or her work behavior. In this level, like Kanyastia said before, everyone is unique. So the characteristics of each man or woman are unique. But in this case, the characteristics is about the attitude to the subject matter maybe, or the the work behavior maybe, or about some topics maybe. So for example, in the first condition, the student don't know about what is the electricity or circuit electricity, maybe, or electrical circuit, maybe he don't know about it, but because he or she or they have this have a good attitude, have affective behavior until the fifth level, until this characterizing, they can improve their knowledge, he can improve their skill, so he or she or they can make the new electrical circuit, maybe, or make uh, something new to help their activity, today's activity, with the electrical circuit that they create, maybe. Okay, so if the student can improve their affective behavior until the highest level, until the characterizing, he also can improve their thinking process until the higher level too, that is about creating, or we call it C6. That is the influence of these domains, affective domains and cognitive domains. Okay, maybe some of you have any question about it, about the level of affective domain, and about my explanation about the relation of the affective domain with the, what is it, cognitive domain. Any question before I continue to the next slide? Any question? Are you understand with my explanation about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. With your response, I will go to the next one. Okay, this is the level description, verb, and objective for the affective domain levels. I think the description about that have been discussed before. And the verb, Audina Okay. Express about their commitment maybe, or express about their initiate, or express about the report from the topics discussed before maybe. The example of verbs for organization are choose, consider, or prefer. In this level, maybe we can know, oh, the student prefer study about fluids maybe, or the students prefer study about dynamic electricity maybe. We can know what is the passion, what is the student's passion, if the students uh, show their affective behavior until this level. And the last level, the example of verbs for the characterization level are act on, depict, or exemplify. So they can act on their passion, they can depict of their knowledge, of their information, or they can exemplify about their information before, or the knowledge, or their passion. The last columns show about the objective, the example of objective, the example of objective for affective domain. For example, in the first level for receiving, the objective is listen attentively to the introduction of basic electricity.
Halo, tes, tes.
Yeah, hello. I can hear your sound, your
Hello.
voice.
Hello, hello. Okay. Oh, my sound is trouble. Okay. What your last hear from my explanation? The objective. Hello, hello.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, can you replay your explanation
Okay. About
about the last?
this example of objective.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Maybe uh, my connection is unstable, so my sound have a trouble. Okay, okay. Okay, I will reply my explanation about the example of objective for each level of affective domains. For the first is listen attentively to the introduction of basic electricity. This is the first level of affective domains. This is influence with cognitive domain. This is influence with the cognitive domain. If the student only show the affective behavior of receiving, maybe the cognitive process that their experience is for remember or C1. But if the student show the affective behavior of responding for voluntary help set up electrical circuit, it shows that the cognitive process of the student is the second level, that is the understanding or C2. This is one of the example of objective in the second level, that is responding. For the third level, the example of objective is attend optional kinds of electrical circuit. So the students not only follow the demonstration of the teacher about how to set up the electrical circuit, but also the student apply their skill, apply their knowledge about the electrical circuit to make another electrical circuit. They can choose what kind of electrical circuit that that they will make for their needs. So if the student show this behavior, we can know that the student reach the cognitive process of applying or C3. That is the influence of uh, the affective domains to the cognitive domains. For the example of the objective in the fourth level of organization, this is one of example, not only this. The example, the student until purchase own electrical components for his or her needs for electrical circuit. It is so that the student not only apply their knowledge or their skill to make an electrical circuit in the school, but also they want to make another electrical circuit for their needs in their life. Maybe, for example, the student want to make an electrical circuit for the lamp in their home, maybe, or the student want to make an electrical circuit to make the bell for their home, maybe, or another needs in their life. So not only follow the demonstration of the teacher about the electrical circuit, not only apply to another or new condition in the school, but also they apply it to more complex condition in their daily needs. And I think the student that only the thinking process only understanding level, they cannot show the affective behavior of organization. But if they can show the affective behavior of organization, they can reach the level of cognitive process for the analysis and also the evaluation. Why? Because if they can organize their knowledge, they can organize their skill, they can organize their value of their study about these topics, he can choose where is the electrical circuit that appropriate with their needs. For example, for bell or for lamp or for the other needs. So if they can choose what is the electrical circuit that appropriate with their needs, the cognitive process, the student's cognitive process is reach the C5 level, reach the evaluate level. And for the last example of objective for affective domain levels is join the robotic club to develop their passion in electricity and sensor. This is one of the example, because he or she or they can have the positive attitude, make affective behavior until this level, until the highest level. So they have the passion in this topic, they have the passion in electricity topic. So to develop their passion, they join the robotic club, maybe, for example, or the other club that develop their knowledge or skill about the electricity circuit. I think if the learning process give the attention of the affective domain to not only the cognitive domain, the student can improve their knowledge, improve their skill with the level of affective domain. If the level of affective domain is higher, they can improve their knowledge or skill or thinking skill with, with the higher level. Okay, maybe any question for this explanation about the influence of affective domain to the cognitive domain, about the example of objective, about why we must pay attention about the affective assessment, not only the cognitive domain assessment. Okay? Please welcome if you have any question to me. Or maybe one of you can make a conclusion about our discussion today about affective assessment, about Krathwohl's Krathwohl's taxonomy on affective assessment. Okay, please welcome. Give a conclusion about our discussion today. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. Any question? No question means understand or not understand. Do you understand? Hello?
We hope you understand, ma'am.
Maybe we understand a little, ma'am.
Okay, you can read more my slide. I will share it to your WhatsApp group about this. Maybe this is new information for you about the Krathwohl taxonomy on the affective assessment. Okay, so how to develop the affective assessment instrument? We will discuss it later through our WhatsApp group because the time so 8:37 p.m. We can discuss it later with chat in our WhatsApp group how to develop the affective assessment instrument. Like I said before, the instrument of affective assessment is not test form. the test form is the instrument for the cognitive domain. For the affective domain, for the assessment of affective domain, we use the observation sheets or the questionnaire. The observation sheet need a rubric of assessment. So you must make the specific table before you make the instrument of affective domain, and then you can make you can identify what the aspect of assessment that appropriate with the level of affective domain. So I think this is very interesting because the observation of the affective domain not only about observe the activity or the student activity in the discussion, but more than, because there are 5 levels in this affective domain. So we need to identify what objective in each level and what behavior that we will observe. For example, in this objective, listen attentively to the introduction of basic electricity. What is the student's behavior that we will observe? We must identify it. Maybe pay attention, silent, have the willingness, the behavior, the attitude of student, the behavior of student that can we observe. That is about the that is for the observation sheets. But like today, I don't know you give the attention to me or not if you don't open your video, because they are online learning. So we don't know, are you listen attentively to me or no? So I think in this situation we not only use the observation sheet, but also we need to make a questionnaire for the self-assessment, for the student self-assessment. Maybe, for example, we make the statement, I have paid attention to the teacher explanation about the basic electricity. We can use the rating scale with the multiple choice or the rating scale for agree, disagree, or strongly agree, strongly disagree, maybe, for example. So the teacher can observe with the observation sheet. The student also assess their self with the questionnaire. With the questionnaire sheet, with the questionnaire maybe in the Google Form or with other platform. That is the example for the objective of the level of receiving. For the other level, we need to identify what is the behavior, what is the student behavior that maybe can show to the teacher or their friend, so we can assess the affective behavior of the student. Okay, that is all for me. Any question before I close this course today? Or, oh yeah, one of you can make a conclusion about this course today. This course today about the Krathwohl's level on affective assessment. Please welcome. One of you can give a conclusion about Krathwohl's level on affective assessment that we discussed before. Adit maybe, Yusril, Arif, Iqbal maybe.
Okay,
Let me
ma'am.
know. Oh yeah, I
Oh,
did.
okay. User first, user first.
Okay. For me, the conclusion of learning today is that effective assessment has the effective domain, which are uh, educational objective level, has the first level is receiving, and after that responding, following, organization, and characterization. And for receiving is about how to listen, notice, and tolerate. And for responding is comply, enjoy, and follow. For following is carry out and express. And organization is about how to choose, consider, and prepare. For characterization is about action and divide and example exemplify. So that is for my conclusion about effective assessment. Maybe Edit uh, can add my conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Yusril. Maybe Adit can make the complete conclusion or make the addition for the conclusion of Yusril. Adit, please
Yes,
welcome.
ma'am.
Okay.
My version conclusion is maybe affective assessment is not based on a test or maybe on a question like a cognitive assessment, but we can observe how the student behavior and student attitude to see how they're effective. So we can assessment that, yeah, something like that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And maybe one more person give the conclusion for the woman member, maybe, yeah. Nothing. Okay, uh, one thing that not explained from Yusril and Adit, there are relation with affective assessment with the cognitive assessment. So the affective behavior or the cognitive process that students show is influenced. Okay, that is the conclusion. Thank you very much for our course today. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your positive attitude in this course. Thank you for your assessment behavior, affective behavior in this course today. I think all for me. I forgive me if I have a mistake. Thank you very much. I will close this course with Hamdalah, Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. You're welcome.